So nice to see everyone again. Hi, Pratima, Ashwini, Christy, Shuba, Chaya, Ryan, Ein. This is over there. Hi, Tris. Flex the feet, place the hands in the middle of your thigh, push down, lift your spine up tall. Draw the shoulders down and away from the ears. Let the chin lift, let the eyes close. Just in the first couple moments here, reflect upon the last year. Even though it was a year, few of us went anywhere, a whole lot happened. We had to travel the world in a very different way. We had to figure out how to move through life in a different way. Some of us in very hard conditions, those people that were essential, those of us that had to isolate. And even though we were together here on Zoom and in these classes, to continue our good work, recognize the road you've traveled to be here. That as we go from, as 2021 is in full swing, right? We're almost to the halfway point of the year. Look back at how far you've come. Recognize what you've gone through and what you needed out of your yoga, out of your personal practice, or from your teachers or studio to be where you are today. Give yourself credit for coming this far. And do so in your yoga practice too, not just gratitude for the practice for helping you get here, but how much you might have worked on it during the whole thing. Because you're all still here. I've seen almost every single one of you, week in, week out, during what can be a hard, what could have been life-ending for some and hard and inconvenient and all sorts of things, but it was difficult regardless of the severity. Look what dedication you had to your growth, to your process, towards yourself, to keep showing up. Truly one of the most admirable things I know. So give yourselves whatever credit you feel you're due. And if you don't think any, let me offer. It's admirable and wonderful, and I admire all of you to come through everything we have to be where you are today and still have been on your mat the whole time. If you ever doubt that you're in the process of being a good yogi, an active yogi, a strong yogi, or just a yogi period, are you doing yoga? You have only to look back at this year, this last year, and recognize you are. That you're in the ebb and flow of your life and your needs and your change. So take that badge of honor, right? Like you got the merit badge from the Scouts, and pin it to yourself as a testament to a test you went through, to sit with the many others you might carry. And your practice wasn't just there to keep you going, but you enriched yourself. You learned. And that's something that can be easily lost. But yoga is not just about confronting the hard things, it's about celebrating the good things. So let your practice today, my friends, be one of recognition of how far you've traveled, what you've gotten, and how it will help you continue to go forward and celebrate all that you are that's brought you to here today. Because I do every time I log in. Or I will continue to celebrate it when I see you in person again. Bring the palms together at the chest, thumbs touching the sternum. Head still lifted, legs active, chest up, shoulders wide. Will them shortly 3 times and then begin. Take a breath. Bow your head. Salute the essence of yoga inside yourself. Bring your hands into your lap. Let your head rise and your eyes open. All right. Grab a yoga block and your bolster. You won't need them both at the same time, but have those nearby. So since we've all traveled so far, let's start with our feet. See what crazy things are going on in there. Oh yeah, Tristan's already like, oh no. Take your bolster. We're gonna go back to old school. You're gonna take your bolster just across your mat. Take both feet up on top of the bolster and sit back on your heels with the top of your feet flat. Turn around. Top of your feet flat on the bolster and sit back. So as Tristan's demoing, take both feet, heels together, have a seat back with your ankles just hanging off the edge of the bolster. Just the action of sitting back on the top of the feet on the floor can stretch them. But if we're very tight, we've traveled so far, right? Sit back and just kind of feel with that padding how one heel wants to roll out or maybe the other one in, and try to draw them both in equally. And then see how you can press your knees down into the floor while sitting on your heels. So you have to flex the front thigh muscle, quad, push that knee down, the inner and outer. And you might feel your back shift a little bit, your feet are going to stretch a little differently. But try to keep that engagement of the legs. We've worked very hard these last 12, 14, 15 months, trying to create action and extension, flexion and extension. So as you flex your thighs, push your knees down, but keep your hips there, and feel how that kind of asks your back to adjust. Which leg flexes easier, which leg takes a little more effort. Do they even look the same when you flex them? Because you can overflex your glutes or push your low back into it to cheat it. So again, use your senses, see what's going on in your body. When you relax your legs, look at them. And then when you flex them, look how they shift. Do they move equally? Do they activate equally? Interlace the fingers, take both arms out, arms up. Lifting up nice and tall through the side body. Let the hips stay down, push through the knees. And experiment pushing down through the knees to see what lifts more in your chest and back. Can you create more height from the leg being active, similar to all our work this year? Think about flexing the thigh to pull the kneecap towards the hip again, like we have in the last few months. Stretch the outer arm by squeezing the arm in towards the head, and then lift the inner and outer arm up. So you lift the ribs up, not just out, up, up. Turn the palms down, change the lacing of your fingers. Remember, if one set of fingers is stacked, alternate right, left, it should go left, right, or vice versa. Turn your palms out, take both arms up. Be aware of how the body weight comes off the heels a little bit. You're shifting forward, trying to make your low back do it. Keep your weight of your upper torso in your hips on your feet, but flex the legs. Do more leg work. Never skip leg day. A few more seconds. Ooh, good use of couch cushion, Shuba. Very smart. Big fan. Big fan of that one myself personally. The couch cushion technique is a time-honored tradition of the householder yogi. Good. Bring the arms down. Take your feet back behind your bolster, so your knees are on your bolster, with your toes turned under. So your heel is above your toes. Toes are deep on what's called dorsal flexion. Sit back on your feet. Stretch some toes out. Again, flex your thighs. Push down through the knee a little bit. My feet were tight too. Pick both knees up off the bolster. When you do this, instead of pushing your knees down, think about, again, retracting that kneecap towards the hip. So it's the thighs that are getting the greater part of the work. So it's really, you're trying to create a deeper crease down here in the hip flexors by picking your knees up higher. So don't let your heels come down to the floor. Try to challenge those up. Pick the knee up higher by flexing deeper along the length of the thigh, way down here into the hip flexors themselves. Ask the whole length of that leg to really be engaged. Go ahead, bring your knees down. From here, take the top of your feet flat to the floor again, with your knees staying on the bolster. Squeeze the heels together, sit back on the feet. So now you're doing it from the knee being higher than the heel. Changes the work a little bit. Do not push your knee down as hard. I'll explain why. Whichever part is elevated technically has more force against it because of the tightness of your body, and you're bringing the floor up to it. So by bringing the knees up, there's more force on the knee, which may increase the stretch in your foot. When it's under your feet, you have to push the knees down to get that same power or force to equalize it across your shin. Same now is true here, but instead of pushing the knee down, flex your thighs, push your feet into the floor hard, almost like you were going to lift your butt up, and then sit upright as best you can. Yes. Take your toes. Better. Push your feet down, like you're trying to push all 5 toenails down. And you might feel your ankle or your arch. I get a really bad foot cramp in this one. Interlace your fingers, take both arms up. I know, I see everyone's got their hands on their bolsters like you are a madman. 2 seconds, unless you have an injury that you can't do it for. Interlace your fingers, Micah. There you go. Come on, Pratima. 4, 3. Come on, Chai. Everyone does it. Timer doesn't start till you all do it. 3, 2. Come down. Slide forward on your bolster. Don't worry about the other end. We'll do them. Come forward. Take the top of the feet flat again. Sit back on the heels again. Ankles are just hanging off the edge of the bolster, so be sure to scoot forward till you feel that is true. And then again, when you sit on the heels, flex the thighs, push the knee joint down into the floor. So it's not about pushing your shin bone down, push the knee down so you begin to challenge the thigh muscle to flatten the calf. You feel okay, huh? Mm-hmm. If you can't take it, scoot back. And I mean, take it as in just don't hurt yourself. Interlace the fingers, both arms up again, go for height. Create the lift of all poses and actions. Notice where your legs want to change as soon as you take the arms up. Do you lean forward? Do you fall backwards? Can you even out the action in your feet, in your back? Switch hands. Exhale, bring the arms down, take your feet back, put your knees on the center of the bolster again. Turn your toes under. Sit back on the heels. Pick both knees up as high as you can. Try to keep those heels up. And again, flex that thigh, pull that kneecap deep down into the hip crease. Stretch both arms up if you can. Build that stability of the small muscles of the foot by challenging your length of your body higher. We do it in so many of our poses, right? One-legged balancing poses, we wibble and wobble. Even here, with this narrowness of our support, it takes a lot more muscular structure of the thigh, knee, ankle, foot to balance this. And so what you're doing is you're strengthening, toning the ankle muscles, the Achilles, to be stable. Push down through the foot. Bring your hands down to the bolster or blocks or whatever's near you. Keep your knees up. Last few seconds. Pick your hips up off your heels half an inch, but try not to lean forward. Try to keep your chest upright. So it's just you feeling those quads fire, pushing down through the foot. The calf fires, quads fire, just to lift your hips higher up. And then try to stretch both arms up. Woo! It's like yoga leg day. Hands down, come forward. Take your bolster. You're going to place both knees on the floor. You're going to take the top of your feet flat, knees together. You're going to take your bolster or cushion, hook it up in the back of them knees, and sit down. I got it. How's that? You're good? Set up slightly. There you go. That's straight. Absolutely. There you go. Yeah, your foot sickles under. Flex your thighs and push your knees down into the floor as your weight of your hips press down on that bolster. Very good. Just enjoy a minute. Stretch both arms up, interlace your fingers, turn your palms up, go for lift. Even though it's footwork, you can still do arm work to create action and lift. And now there's equal pressure across the foot and across the knee. So as best you can, flex the thighs, push the knees down and foot down equally. So it's not just your upper body weight depressing it, but your legs are active. So that even though you're seated, your legs are almost ready to pick you up. All right, switch your hands. But okay. All across here. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Few more seconds. Bring the arms down. Turn the toes under with the bolster behind your knees. Sit back on your heels again. Remember, flex your thighs and push your feet down harder, almost like you're about to float your knees up off the floor. So your upper body sits up. The activation of your legs creates that lift. So you're not pushing up on your low back. There you go. All right, come on, take the hands to the floor, take the bolster out. Down dog, please. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Get your knee. And down dog. Just downward facing dog for a moment. You can even stretch your feet. There's a lot of footwork to be done here. So look at your feet without your heels on the floor. So keep your heels up off the floor. Identify the inner part of the foot near the arch. Identify the outer part of the foot from the pinky toe side. The inner part of your foot lifts up your inner thigh, up to the inner groin. So the inner arch, inner heel pulls up. The outer heel stretches back. So start to let your heels descend, but you're lengthening the heel like you're trying to drag the sole of your foot back behind you. Don't push your shoulders and neck into it, but try to make the strength of your legs push through the world behind you so you begin to stretch the sole of that foot a little bit. Pick your heels way up. So the heels are way up. Right now, your toes are what's called dorsal flexion. You can see the tops of your toenails. Your toes are in a natural bend. Take your left foot and flip your toes over the other way. So the top of your foot is to the floor. The toenails are pressing into the floor. And you start to curl the arch of your left foot fairly deeply. Press those toenails down, but keep that left hip, shin, and thigh just as active. Stretch through that foot like you're trying to take the top of the foot down, but the knee stays straight and the hips lifted. Switch your legs. So the top of the right toenails are flat. Stretching those tight arches out. Hips up and back. And just for a moment, try both. Push down through those toes and see how much pressure it can take just to push and lift a little. Can't do both, do one for 5 seconds and then the other 5 seconds. Come down onto your knees. Ooh. You all right? Grab a bolster. Have a seat. Take your left leg straight in front of you. Grab a hold of your inner right knee, pull up the leg, and pull the right ankle on top of your left thigh close to the hip as you can. May not come up all the way to the hip. That's what. Flex the left thigh. Flex the left toes back towards your body. So you're creating dorsal flexion of the foot to start. This will change shortly. But start to flex that and feel how when you flex that foot back, if you can flex the thigh, to lift up and point the right foot. The toes that are up on your thigh, point those toes like they're trying to wrap around to the back side of your body. One of the things you can do to help is take your left arm, the left forearm, place it along the toes and push. Just use your left arm, push against your toes like that, and then just lift. And I'm not saying pull the ankle, but I want you to push on the toes or the 5 joints themselves, in a sense, to make the top of the foot stretch, to start teaching it to lengthen and flatten like that. Now your left leg, we have flexed and the toes are flexed back. Point your foot now. Turn the camera down so you can see Tris here. Point your foot, and when you point the foot, try to pull all 5 toes back, especially pinky there. Doesn't always like to move. When you pull those toes back, as you point the foot and then pull the toes back, you start to strengthen the inner arch, the inner ankle. This can be a difficult posture to hold, as some of you know in my classes. Trying to stretch the whole top of the foot away from the leg, but yet then pull the toes back are 2 very different muscle actions. But one, they teach the calf to flex all through that lower calf as it attaches to the Achilles, especially the more you try to stretch your heel down, like you're trying to get the center of your heel to the floor over time, and then pull your toes back. If you can spread your toes wide and pull them back, great. All at the same time, that foot points. The toes reflex. And you're still pushing the right toes back with your arm. And you sit here. You flex that thigh. Yeah. And you hold. We're just kind of warming up the hip. We're asking the leg to elongate. So it's very important to notice how the left knee wants to not stay, the left thigh doesn't want to stay flexed. Pull that knee towards the hip, point that foot any degree. Your mobility. All right, switch your legs. Yeah. Left ankle up on right thigh, right in your center of hip. Again, point those left toes. You can use the forearm or the hand. Really start to shape, pull it, stretch it. Start with the right thigh flexed, right toes pulled back. And notice on your right foot, and notice on either foot, honestly, but when you flex the right thigh, center of the knee points up, yeah? And so then when you pull the right foot back, flex the foot, notice how the right foot may not want to evenly pull back. On mine, my big toe pulls back faster than my pinky toe, so I have to try and keep my knee centered and then flex the whole right foot, especially the outer part. That's really tight. And create that evenness, because even though, sure, I can flex my foot deeper if I pull back just the big toe side and it looks good, it's not equal action. My knee doesn't stay centered. It's more important to have that centered knee and the foot flexed evenly than it is to visually feel like, oh, I'm doing so well, right? Trying to create structure. Keep those left toes pointed, push against that. Now point your right foot, keeping that right thigh flexed. Stretch the top of that right foot. Try to get as much of that right foot towards the floor as you can, and then pull the toes back. Flex those feet. left arch. Tristan's having a heckin' foot cramp on her left foot. A few more seconds. We're just warming again. We're warming the hips up to do some other poses that help the feet, the knee. Done lots of footwork standing. I thought it was a good day for seated. So many of you said, can we please have a restorative day on Zoom? For one, I don't know why you would want that. That would just be log in, lay down, ring a bell. I guess if we all wanted adult nap time on Zoom, that'd be it with an alarm clock of a yoga teacher. So I give you, this is your, yes, Tristan's right. This is your restorative. Flex those right toes back, stretch that right foot. Notice how even when you point the right foot, what side of the foot likes to lengthen faster than the other. For me, it's my pinky toe side. My big toes really got to stretch for it. Really got to flex my knee to stay centered. Then I get a calf cramp. All right, take the legs out. Okay. So go ahead and sit in Baddha Konasana, feet together, knees wide. Just good old Baddha Konasana, nothing super fancy. It's a classic pose. It does a lot for the feet, knees, and hips. And we've worked on other techniques with it, but for now, take your feet, press them together. Push the pinky toe side of the foot down into the floor so your legs are active, you lift. And for a moment, try to touch the pad, the inner pad of your big toe to the other inner pad of the big toe, and press those two together super hard as you push the pinky toe side of your foot down. So you're pushing down into the earth with the flexion of your thighs and the edge of the foot. And notice it's easy to push the pinky toe down, push the outer heel down, and then push the big toes together as hard as you can, like you were going to smash something between those big toes. Always gives me a nice foot cramp. It's very hard to keep the big toes connected and push the outer heel down, the whole side of that foot down, because we want to kind of lean forward and tilt it, and the foot wants to spread and roll outward. We're trying to keep the foot deeply connected in and really reshape the arch and the Achilles tendon of the foot over time. Big toe pads pressed tight. In future yoga classes, I'll probably have you hold a piece of paper, and if I can pull it out, I have to do them more. Don't worry, I thought of new torture tricks. So if you can even stick a finger between your big toes and just pinch it and feel, use the feeling in your finger, what toe presses harder, and just to experiment with getting the one that doesn't engage into it and what it changes in your hip to do it. And then what does it take to push the heels down into the ground or the whole side of that foot and squeeze? Works all sorts. All right. So now, flex the thighs, pull the heels towards you like you're going to drag them along your yoga mat and push down, and then squeeze the big toes together. So as you flex the muscles of your legs, the one, keep them together, push those big toes together, right? Pull, act like you're going to drag the feet towards you on the muscles of your legs, like you were trying to slide them in. Not pull yourself forward, because that would be you shoving your groin back into it. But let your butt stay stable. Pull those heels in, push the big toe bones together as you push down. Get some different muscles. For me, it goes way into those bones in between the second, third, and fourth toe. Good buddy. All right, relax the legs a little bit, slide them forward a few inches. Take your right hand, grab a hold of your right foot, and pull your right heel towards the center of your groin, just in front of your bolster. For now, take both hands, take your thumbs to the outer part of the heel, and roll your heel away from you like you're trying to get the sole of your foot to roll up towards the ceiling. So I'm going to move Trish's hand for a second. It's between your heel and the bolster, and you rotate out away from you, like you're trying to push your heel away from you and your sole comes up. Now, as you do that, pushing on the foot, flex your right thigh, push the top of your foot into the floor hard, like you're going to straighten your leg out, like you're trying to just stand up almost. Makes your hips work harder. So it's really the engagement of this thigh muscle, pulling the knee back towards the hip, and the shape where this, from the about bottom third of shin down the ankle towards the toes, gets engaged. And you want your hand there rolling that foot out, because I don't want you to worry about your groin gripping or things like that, but pushing the foot out, pushing that heel out away from your body slightly, while then flexing and pushing down, starts to teach that hip to stay rotated. One, because remember, a lot of foot issues come from the hip. A lot of foot issues also work on the hip, right? They also tweak and twinge and cause oscillation. Flex those right quads. Notice that the eagerness to push the foot down might also come from gripping the groin and tilting. Flex that quad, make it burn. Like yoga leg day, like I said, not skipping it. All right, switch feet. Pull your left in, right out. Use the hands to pull the left heel in towards the center of the groin. Right foot's just slightly in front. It will get to play again. But take the hands, hook the foot, hook that heel. I just like to stick my thumbs on the outer heel, between my groin and the heel, and just roll it. Like rolling a rolling pin, right? Across a pie crust. It rolls away from you. Roll it away, flex the left thigh, push the knee down. Not push the knee down, push the foot down by flexing the thigh. Pull the left knee towards the left hip. So for the next few weeks, my plan is, since I will be teaching two-hour classes, and those of course come with pranayama, we're going to work on the 6 seated poses that pranayama is traditionally done in this tradition. That's going to take a lot of footwork, hip work, knee work, so that when we go back into the studio and pranayama happens, we can do more seated upright and start to train the body to create and hold that space. Flex that left thigh, push that foot down into the floor. A few more seconds. And breathe. Keep checking in on yourself. What parts want to quit? Can you keep those leg muscles active? Remember, some of the most challenging things in yoga is not to just move against your hard stuff, but move against the stuff that does not like to move. Over the years, I've come to recognize that it's not about, what all your problems are in the sense of what weighs heavy on you the most, but can you really ask yourself to wake up and be the force of nature in your life that you can be, right? Not to hide even any part of your power. So flex that left thigh, push that foot down, last few seconds, spine up. For me, it's that left leg doesn't want to be in the game. Going to ask it to be. All right, feet together, Baddha Konasana. Art of Swastikasana? No, Swasasana. Push the foot down into the floor from the heel to the pinky toe joint. Push the feet together. Push the big toe bones together again. Pinch the finger between the big toes and see if there's a difference. As you push the foot down, pin the big toes together hard. See if there's any difference in the ability of your big toes to squeeze that finger while you're pushing the feet down. Push the feet down, pull the feet towards you on the strength of your leg while pinching those big toes together. So that arch must shape. All the bones and muscles in your foot are flexed and starting to stretch. There you go. Pinch it. All right, slide your feet forward a couple inches. Take your right foot. Oh. Remember, right toes, right 5 joints. Take these 5 joints in between the left knee and calf, and then pull the left foot under. So you see Tristan's tucking it up. Her heel is on top of her bottom calf. She did really well. She can't see a big toe. The joint's in there. She slid the other foot under, so her right shin and calf lay on that bottom, or right shin calf lay on that bottom calf and foot. So even though the right foot is trapped, point that foot. You're using the resistance of that foot trapped in there to point that foot harder. So it's like this ankle to shin connection on the right side pushes against that bottom calf. Because that action right there rolls the bottom calf away from you over time. That's what eventually allows for the next step. Keep pushing that right ankle straight, pushing those right foot against your left calf. Take your left hand between your right knee and thigh. Grab your big toes and pull them up a little. You may be practiced enough, the foot comes up really high. Or your toes may be stuck way down there. That's okay. Just even if your hand is down there and you've hooked the foot and you're pulling, hold it. Just even if that's your pose, like Tristan's working here, where she's just got a hold of that big toe, just draw on it and then push the right foot against the left calf. And then try, and this is going to be a little weird, try to point your left foot while you're holding that big toe. So both legs are active in their pressure against the calves and the force of the leg. Try not to lean into it with your back groin. Flex your thigh muscles to do the push. You want to get really good at doing these seated poses, cross-legged things, Padmasana like we've worked on in the past year, things like that, is that deep flexion of the legs, trying to almost pull your hips away from your spine. Take your legs out. Take your left toes between your right calf knee space. Remember, that's tucked way up in there. Pull it under and drop it. Point that left foot, push the left foot against the right calf so that left thigh activates. It's almost like you're trying to slide the leg out straight, but that calf has captured the foot. Push. Right hand goes down between left calf and thigh. Drag some toes up. Even though they may not come up high or fast. Cramp. Tristan's having a lot of foot cramps today. Flex those quads, push the feet against the calves, almost like you were trying just to slide your legs straight out, but your feet are wrapped up, so that flexion is still there. To ask the knee to stretch, the quad to stretch. For me, I get a lot of hip work in this. If you really want to do some testing on your hips, do this sitting on a block, a hard one, like a cork or wood or brick or clay. So you're just really asking your pelvis to be honest, so your hips have to adjust as your pelvis tries to recenter. Being kind, we're doing it on the bolster today. But remember, there is a Thursday and then another Tuesday. So just be aware. So practice a little bit, not just with me, right? This will be on YouTube. Flex those feet, flex those quads, push. Interlace your fingers, palms up. I didn't forget. But what is it like to push your legs against the earth and against themselves, and then lift the spine up so your whole upper back rises? That is good. Feel your back lift, don't you? Change the lacing of the fingers. Great. Bring the arms down. Take your legs out for a moment. Feet together, knees wide, Baddha Konasana for a moment. All right. Push the pinky toe side of the foot down, pull the heels towards you, pin the big toes together and put a finger between it so you can feel if there's any other subtle difference. As the more I do this, the more my big toes stay together and I can do all of those other parts. Flex the quads, push the legs down, pull the legs in. And keep those big toes pinned because now the arches of my foot are stable because they're not overworking. Now all the muscle of the foot is. There's a ton of poses in yoga that are like subtle little stuff like this where you would think, oh, I can sit in Baddha Konasana and stretch my groin. No, it's really about your foot action. It's a test of your ability to, as I like say, micromanage the micro in you. It's hard to keep your big toes in the game. It's hard to press the whole foot down and pull it in. Because everything else cramps and everything else is hard. Now keep your left foot where it is, except you're, I take that back. You're gonna move it a couple inches forward. The right foot stays where it is. Listen carefully. You're gonna flex your right foot, pulling the toes back. Still on the floor, like Tristan's doing. Take your hands, you're gonna use the fingers under your heel, near your groin, to pick the foot up slightly. The toes will rotate down towards the floor, with the heel of the hand pushing the heel away from your groin out. So you start to create the reverse foot action of Baddha Konasana. This is the evolution of the pose where eventually the toes point behind you. Eventually. I don't know if it'll be in this life for me or anyone in this room, but you know, that's the fun thing when when yoga teachers say eventually, feel free to like start giving them shit like, what, when I reincarnate? That's an eventual, if you're into that game. It's true. Push down through the foot like you're trying to push down through all the toe joints. Hold the heel with your hand, lift your spine up tall. And just feel it. Flex that quad. Push the foot down because eventually you pushing the foot down will get your knee to go down. Keep it. Take your right foot out. Flex your left toes, flex your left foot, pull the heel up towards the groin, plant the foot any degree, and use the hands, push the heel away from the body. You're not sliding the foot along the floor, but you're keeping those toes where they first landed, and you're rolling the heel calf and everything else. Flex the left thigh. Oh. Yeah. Flex that left thigh. And it popped so deep in my hip, it took my breath away. Flex that left thigh and push the toes down. So you ever say, oh, Dustin, you're so flexible, it's so easy for you. It's not. I've just gotten really good at this affect of like, oh, I'm cramping. Just nothing. All good yoga teachers get good at that. The best ones will show it to you, so you get to see it. Flex that left quad, push that foot down, lift the spine up. All right, foot down, feet together, knees wide. Flex both feet, pull both sets of toes back, grab both heels and try. It is much more challenging to do. Very low. And we'll be doing modifications of this into the future. But just try to rotate both heels up and lift your spine up. Notice most of us doing this. I want to crunch down into it. Just push those heels away from the groin, push the feet into the floor. All right, take the legs out. Lay on your back, elevate your legs with your bolster. So your feet or your knees are a little higher, and then just lay back. Have a short savasana. Oh. Lay back, friends, and let your eyes close. Good job. Use blankets for your neck if you like, or whatever you find comfortable. Work the feet a lot, work the body a lot. And at the start of class, I asked you to be aware of all the other things you've done that's brought you here. How far you've traveled to be here today. Whether it was I came home from work, I came through the last year, whole life to be in this moment. You've traveled far, and I think of nothing else but the feet that carry us that way. One of the ways that I offer for you to look at your practice is not just about improving yourself, being grateful to yourself. Grateful to the body that's brought you this far. And even though it may feel achy, it may feel pain, we might also feel like it betrays us when it hurts. Remember, you never woke up and your body wasn't there. Your body never just totally rebelled when you put stuff in it that might not have been the best. Or stuff happened to it that even you wanted to run away from. You would have not liked done to you from external. So recognize your body and its journey it's had. That you and it together. You begin to learn more about it in the process, heal it, take care of it. So the yoked team, the yoga, you and your body can enjoy the fruits of your yogic practice. Stretch the arms overhead, lengthening through one side and the other. Bend the knees, roll the body to the right. Put your palms